Welcome to Billy Ho Sports. Thank you for tuning in. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and don't forget to like and comment on the videos. I hope you enjoy the show. Now, let's go. Hello, Billy Ho here. Quick little hitter video on some ownership type stuff. And I said I would do like a top 10-ish type, under 5% owned, some low key, maybe some Corn Ferry guys, uh, things of that nature. So here it is. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. Check out the whole video. I got some really cool guys toward the end you may not have heard of, some you have. I tried to not really get sucked into the brand new Corn Ferry Tour guys that probably most everybody hasn't heard of, but I focused in on more of the guys that have had starts this year with some success. So I got 10 guys I'm going to throw out here at you, and their ownerships are probably going to be sub 5%, and some of them are going to be total one percenters, Sons of Anarchy style. So let's take a look at the big board. All righty then. So I've got it all queued up here for you. I went ahead and favorited the guys I wanted to talk about. You can see them on your screen here. And so I wanted to do a couple of old school dudes. I had to start with Webb Simpson. I think a lot of our guys, our Discord's big on Webb, but he's really disappointed this year. Obviously, everybody knows that. Hence the $8,400 price tag, and hence the 4% ownership. Because if Webb was Webb at 8,400, he'd be 95% owned. But we know he's struggling with the putter. He's struggling. This is just the last 50 rounds, strokes gained. I didn't really put anything as far as recent form in. But you can see he's his long-term form's actually pretty good, but it's just as the last 6 months or so, and we can actually take a quick look. I don't mind. Missed the cut at the FedEx St. Jude. Might as well have missed the cut at Rocket. Open, John Deere. 13th at Travelers was promising. He gained 6.4 ball striking. I don't know where that went. It was a one-timer. Charles Schwab, he wasn't too bad. It looked like he was almost going to work his way back in along these ways. The 20th at the PGA Championship, and then the Schwab, and then the 13th at Travelers, and then he just really didn't. I mean, he needs to gain more than just 1.7. He can't lose 4. He can't lose that many. That's terrible. But he's a better putter than that, and he's almost as good on POA as he is, better maybe on POA than Bermuda. So that's promising. If you believe, and he has added distance, it probably won't reflect 301. But he has said, and that was part of his problem, I think, with his swing transformation, is that he tried to add this distance and he lost accuracy and he wasn't controlling the ball very well. And I think maybe it just trickled down to his iron play, because he wasn't in the same positions as he used to be in where he was good with irons. And I think maybe it just kind of totally threw him off, but he's had some time to work on it. Like I said, his last tournament was a month ago. So he only played 2 rounds. Well, he is Webb Simpson. He does have ability. So he's worth a shot, a dart throw. The other guy is Jason Day. He's going to be sub 5%, probably 4 to 3. And he wasn't actually that bad. He's good on POA. So that mark that down. He lost a couple, three strokes at the St. Jude. He's probably, it looks like Bermuda might be his worst, but he's a good putter. We know Jason Day. But he's 17th at Rocket, 31st at Memorial. He's had some middling finishes. The Wells Fargo was at Avenel this year, where he gained 6.5. If he could gain 6 or 4 like this on approach, he'll crush this week. But all we really need him to do is be positive and then putt. So if he can combine maybe a stroke and a half, say 1-3, and then say maybe 1-2, a total of 3 strokes ball striking, and then gain 3 putting, he's in there like swimwear. So those are the 2 veteran guys that I saw in the upper. And now all these guys are sub 7K. So that's what we wanted. That's what David and I shout out the Hamburgini on our Discord and at the DFS Chef on Twitter, who's been my dude, my co-host there on the Tuesday shows. You probably know who he is. So the next guy up is $6,900 Will Gordon. Like I said, some of these guys are dudes you already should know if you've been playing a few years. Will Gordon was a thing for a minute. He's actually really good. Bombs the ball. A lot of these Korn Ferry guys surprisingly long off the tee. I mean, stunningly long. So he's a good player. He might be just a hair bit more of a grinder where he doesn't play these birdie fests as well. But he is positive POA. And, you have to go all the way back. I think actually in 2022, in 2020, he was actually playing pretty well. He had a couple of good finishes, several top 30s and 3 top 15s. But if he's more of those harder course grinder type guys, like it says here, he's he plays better in difficult conditions. So hopefully, but he's a guy, 6.9. I'm not telling you to play him. I'm just saying he caught my eye. The next guy up is another dude in the same kind of bucket as Will Gordon, and that's Robbie Shelton. He's 6,800. He was a thing for about a minute in 2020. He had some really good finishes, and then we had the COVID break, and he came off of the COVID break with 4 straight missed cuts. But he did make it to the BMW playoffs that year. He was really good in the fall in 2019 into 2020. I think COVID must have thrown him off. I'm not 100 on that, but he was almost mentioned in those groups with. I remember when Scotty Scheffler and some of those guys were coming out. Bobby Shelton was a kind of a thing for a second. Never came to be. But I think he's in play. He's probably going to be sub 5% easily. Should have brought this up sooner. My apologies. But we can go down here and look. See, all these guys are sub. Bobby Shelton, he might be a 1%er. There's the Sons of Anarchy for you. So I don't know if he's a play or not for me, but he's definitely a guy I'll look at and keep an eye on in the fall. Marty Dew, it's Zikcheng Dew, but he goes by Marty. He's a little bitty squatty dude, man. He's like 5'9", $150, but he can launch it. Dude hits it a long way. I think he might be number 1 on the Korn Ferry Tour in par 5 scoring. Another guy is S.H. Kim is what they call him, 6,900. He's also one of the top dogs in the Korn Ferry finals, and he plays par 5s really well. But MJ Duffy, that's another guy that has had some starts on the PGA Tour. He is a bomber, good on par 5s, PGA experience. He actually made some cuts. He can score. He's not too bad. 33 in the field. So he's a scorer. He might outscore finishing position. So that's another guy. This dude right here, Hayden Buckley, might be my favorite. I looked at his, and we'll take a look at him real quick. He finished pretty strong. He was a thing earlier in the year around Sony in Hawaii, and then he disappeared for a while. Look, he ran off 14th at the U.S. Open. Yes, U.S. Open. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight cuts to close the season. Look at that ball striking numbers. 4.5. Look, Tee to green 7, 5.9, 3.6. Tee to green is a thing this week. So if he can put these numbers up and then just stay even putting and not do that, not be 8.6, he still made the cut. But if he's even putting, and I think he might be partial POA, yeah, that's his best surface so far. Probably not a big sample size. That might be a little noisy, but it's always nice to see that in the plus column. So Hayden Buckley, I think, will definitely be a play for me. And the other guy I wanted to talk about real quick, Brandon Matthews. He's a guy you might not have heard of, but from what I hear, he is the longest hitting dude on planet Earth. Like Bryson looks at him and goes, "Damn, dude, you can really hit it." But no, I'm just kidding. But no, he hits shit like 380. He cuts trees, So I'm thinking maybe he'll, we're not going to have a lot of sample size on him, but I wanted to try to get an idea on maybe if there's anything on here where he hits it a certain direction. Nope. R. So not enough data. I don't know whether he hits the fade. They all hit the fade, fuck. So I like him as a punt only. He could be a bomb and gouge. They said that he actually needs to learn to dial it back. So in this course with the dog legs left, dog legs right, he might be too long. I don't know. Or he might just hit it to places nobody's ever been before and just chipping and putting on these short par fours. So, it's up to you. He's a 1%er. The last guy I wanted to talk about, and congratulations to him. He's such a good guy. He just seems so nice. I mean, I don't know him personally, obviously, but I've seen his posts on Twitter, and he takes it with a grain of salt. People give him shit all the time, and he just smiles and says, "Yeah, I know. I do this, that, and the other." Benny On. Byung Hung On. Good old Benny and the Jets, baby. I'm glad to see him back on tour. He 6,500 dirt cheap. I like that he's going off in the AM off number 10 Thursday. He used to do that back in the day. Like he'd go off early AM and beware hashtag first round leader, by the way. But he's a guy, and I've heard he's added some distance and a little bit better control and maybe even improved his putting. Obviously, plenty of PGA appearances. He is super excited to be back. So he's got a chip on his shoulder to do well. And what better tournament to do it is, jumping right back in here. And if you go back to his old days, Benny On, obviously no good putting period, but POA was his worst. So we don't know what he's going to do. And he's got some middling efforts in Korn Ferry. That's pretty pitiful, actually. So I'm not 100% sure why he made it back to the friggin' PGA Tour. He must have just barely made the cut. But he's a 1%er as well. So $6,500. I mean, in this field, come on. So anyway, that's gonna do it. That was 10 guys I threw out there at you. So make sure you get your lineups in tonight. Weather doesn't look crazy. I think the wind might be picking up a little bit more Thursday PM and a little bit less Friday PM. So there might be just a slight AM PM, but I wouldn't call it an advantage. So I'm not really going to take into account. I looked at the marine layer and it looks pretty even. That marine layer comes in the morning. I don't think there's going to be any delays. The temperatures look okay. So lock and load, baby. First event of All Swing. Billy Ho, subscribe to the channel. And until the next video, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.